In 2022, we saw food prices increase exponentially. However, as soon as the calendar ticked over to 2023, food prices jumped. We saw eggs jump more than 20%. We saw bread jump 10%. We saw meat, vegetables, and fruits all jump more than 10% as well. Now, here's the real concern. What is going to happen for nutrition assistance, SNAP benefits, food stamps, the emergency allotment? What are we going to see in 2023? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today. Now, here's what I can tell you. Benefits for SNAP, emergency allotments for food stamps, and even Medicaid could soon be ending. Yeah, we could see benefits end very soon. This is all due to a declaration that was used back on January 31st, 2020. And it was the Public Health Emergency Declaration. Now, on January 11th, 2023, the current public health emergency actually expires. However, the Department of Health and Human Services have stated that they would give us a 90-day notice before they end this. So as of right now, there is a very high probability that the Biden administration is going to extend the public health emergency past January 11th, 2023. However, it will most likely not be a full year. Experts are now telling us it would likely be about 3 months. This would take us to the middle to end of April. That is the expectation. The public health emergency is going to end sometime this spring of 2023. Now, what does this mean? Well, here's what I can tell you. What is happening right now is that SNAP beneficiaries are currently getting about an extra $95 per month because of the emergency allotment. That is a pretty substantial increase. However, this is not something that is going to go on for another year. This is something that we are going to see end sometime in the near future. And once the public health emergency ends, the emergency allotment, that is likely going to end as well. Now, let me give you a quick list of the states that are currently sending out the $95 emergency allotment in January of 2023. Here's the list. We currently have Alabama, California, Colorado, Delaware, District of Columbia, Hawaii, Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Now, I want to be very clear on something. We've already heard from South Carolina. They will be ending their emergency allotment this month. And we also heard from Texas. Texas is saying because of a recently passed legislation, the release said that February 2023 will be the last month that eligible households can receive emergency SNAP benefits. Officials told households will receive a notice about the change before the emergency allotment ends. That was from a statement just the other day. Now, this is troubling. This is troubling to millions of Americans that are relying on these emergency allotments simply because food prices have soared exponentially. Now, here's another thing that you need to be worried about. If you are currently on Medicaid and you are getting benefits because of being enrolled back in 2020, well, guess what? Right now, there's 90.9 million people that are enrolled in Medicaid and or the Children's Health Insurance Program, also known as CHIP. Now, this means that there's been more than 20 million people added compared to January 2020. Now, what is concerning, and you can see right here in this article, what's concerning is that millions of Americans are enrolled in Medicaid who shouldn't be, and it's costing taxpayers billions. Well, guess what? The American people are worried about these costs, but you know what lawmakers are worried about? They haven't said much about Medicaid. They haven't said much about that because it's insurance, right? It's health insurance. But what they're talking about is cutting other things, cutting other programs. And what we are seeing is Congress is redirecting some of these funds. Okay? This is turning into a major concern. Now, due to the fact that so many Americans didn't have health insurance back in January 2020, this is the reason why that the Trump administration and Congress back in 2020, they passed a bill that would address the virus, but also address insurance. Make sure people had the ability to go and get, health insurance, go get, coverage, and make sure that they had the ability to walk into a clinic or a hospital and get taken care of. Well, they did that. But a part of this provision that was included in the clause, this states that states couldn't actually drop enrollees even if they didn't qualify anymore for the coverage. This includes if their income rose above the eligible limits. So this could end once the public health emergency ends as well. Now, something else that was recently done, and I want to touch on this because I know a lot of people have been asking, is how is Congress going to use the funds that are currently set aside for this emergency allotment or for Medicaid? Once they end these programs, what are they going to do with the funding? Is this going to go to Social Security? Is it going to go back to the Treasury? Are we going to pay down debt? What are we going to do? Well, according to more and more reports, Congress is going to pull money from existing programs. Yeah, they're going to pull money from existing programs in order to fund new programs. Now, Congress has already started to do this. This is already the plan. Recently, Congress passed a $1.7 trillion omnibus bill. And in it, it makes the move to redirect funds from the emergency allotment and from Medicaid to summer meals for children. But that's not it. That is not all. They are going to be moving funding. And we see them do this all the time where they go and provide states or they provide the American people or whatever, businesses with all this funding, but then it's not used up in a quick enough manner. So then they go and pull it all back and they go redirect it somewhere else, right? It's smart. It is a smart move that you go and redirect funding if it's not being used, but there is not a single piece of evidence out there saying that the emergency allotment is not being used. It's not being utilized. The money is just unspent. No, the money's being spent. Now, another thing that is in this provision, this is something that I thought was very interesting because I actually did a report on this about 2 or 3 weeks ago, that in this provision, this would allow people that were scammed out of their SNAP benefits. You can see the story right here. It says, new 4,000-page omnibus bill includes language that would require states to reimburse SNAP fraud victims. This would apply to victims whose benefits were stolen between 10/1/22 and 9/30/24. Now, in it, what's it saying is that if people were scammed out of their SNAP benefits from a card skimmer or from cloning, that they can actually be reimbursed using federal funding. This is different because as of right now, I believe there's only 3 or 4 states that would provide the benefits back to you if they found that they were stolen from you through skimming or through cloning. So because of that, that's actually pretty big that now in this omnibus bill, it's allowing states to use federal funding to pay you back because it didn't offer that before, and there's only 3 or 4 states that actually did it. California was one of those states. So here's what I can tell you. There's a lot of changes that are going to happen in 2023. The expectation of this, the public health emergency ending is pretty high. We are going to see that. They're expecting it's going to happen in the spring. Now, here's the other thing you need to know. Currently, it is January 8th, 2023, and on January 11th, 2023, that is when the current public health emergency is going to expire. However, nobody, and I mean nobody, believes the public health emergency is going to be expiring on January 11th. Everybody believes that the Biden administration and the Department of Health and Human Services is going to come out and they're going to say, we are extending this for another 90 days or whatever. And according to the reports, the reason why most expect this is because currently we are seeing COVID rates just spike. We are seeing hospitalizations increase, and we are also seeing deaths increase as well. So until we can get this under control, which as of right now, the biggest factor is the weather. The reason why we are all worried about COVID and this virus is simply because we're all cooped up in schools and buildings and homes, and that's what's causing this massive spread. So as we get more information as to what is going on there, I promise I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next one.